So yesterday we were discussing this surface roughness. The last few slides which I completed in hurry. So this is again very important. Yes, sir. Renan, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yesterday you were missing.
No, sir, my mic was not working.
Oh, I see. So the roughness, as I told, just quickly I'll finish this. That it can be showed by three ways. One is you can give the symbols, that is geometrical symbols in terms of arrows. That is square root वाला symbol, जो root symbol, radical sign जो रहता है, and there you can mention the value. Second thing is you can write n1, n2, n3. These are the different ways that in the drawing they write. And then third is you can mention the RA value. You can mention the T base, and this is what this is how your roughness is represented. Roughness means it is nothing but the highest point and the lowest point. So you have to use the technologies in such a way that this distance has to be reduced as low as possible or should become zero. So we have also studied, different surface finishing processes and super finishing processes. That is honing, lapping, super finishings. Mm. So the aim of those processes is to reduce the distance between highest point and lowest point. This that is crest and trough. And of course, as you go on reducing this distance, that is the more accurate surface finish you want, the cost will be higher. So there is another technical term that is called the surface roughness number, which is expressed like this. That is, you measure the different heights. There is a equipment or the surface finish tester, or also called the profilometer. Talison's surface finish tester is most common, and that we have in our college also in metrology lab. So that gives you directly, the surface finish value in microns. And how does it calculates? It takes the number of points, so it measures the height of this crest and trough at each and every height, and then it takes the average. Like here, this is H1, H2, like that it is H3, H4, and it will divide it by number of observations. Another way is this: you have to give these symbols. Hmm. So one triangle means rough finish. Two triangle means finishing which you obtain in your milling, drilling. Three triangles means finishing what you get in grinding, and last is the four triangles. So there are four triangles shown. So four triangle means very high finish, that is super finish. और उसके ऊपर नहीं. So the only surface finish or surface texture can be represented by either by one triangle or by two triangle or by three triangles or by four triangles. See, this is how uh, the grade numbers are given. Like N1 is most superior surface finish, and N12 mm, is the rough. The As an engineer, you have to see whether really the surface finish is important or not. So you must be aware about the applications. So depending upon the application, you can suggest the surface roughness. So unnecessarily, if it is not required, unnecessarily don't give a good surface finish, because that is going to increase the manufacturing cost. So this was a case study. Now bearings, you know the purpose of the bearings. I will tell. So you consider you have a shaft which is rotating inside a housing. You have a shaft which is rotating inside an housing. So what is the purpose of bearing? Just look at this. So the purpose of bearing is you have a shaft which is rotating in the housing. Now what happens? If you directly rotate the shaft in the housing and when it is continuously rotating, then either the shaft will wear out or the housing will wear out. Depends upon the kind of material and the quality of the material. If the shaft material is inferior or if the shaft material is soft, then obviously shaft will wear out. And then after some time, once the shaft gets worn out, then it will not rotate properly. It will be a dugu kind of a motion. So that means you will have to rectify the shaft or you will have to order a new shaft. It may happen in one day, it may happen in 2 days, but it will not work for 1 year, definitely. It's going to spoil in 15 days. And what happens, suppose if the housing is spoiled? Housing is nothing but a hole. So if the housing is spoiled, then rectification of housing will be a very costly affair, very costly issue. So in such cases, what we do, we fix up an intermediate part which is called as the bearings, and there can be different type of bearings used: ball bearing, roller bearing, needle bearings, taper roller bearings, thrust bearings, which are put in between housing and shaft, and accordingly you have to of course increase the size of the housing, because if you are directly fitting the shaft inside the housing can be shorter, but if you are accommodating bearing, if you want to put bearing, then obviously the size of the housing will increase. Now what you have to remember, the parts of the bearing which I already told, this is called as the inner cage, this is called as the outer cage, or it is also called the outer race. It is inner race and these are the balls. And this is cage. Cage मतलब जो पिंजरा रहता है ना, पिंजरा, cage का meaning इंग्लिश में पिंजरा. Hmm? So this is a cage. So you have an inner cage and outer cage. You have inner race and outer race, and this cage holds the balls. Now, how the bearing is fitted? Remember, students sometimes they are not able to identify the parts also, which is bearing, which is ball bearing, which is roller bearing, which is thrust bearing in the interviews. They are also told that they don't know, how to use the vernier, how to use the micrometer, because now the internship and placement is going on. So I regularly take the feedback. Hello, sir. हाँ, अच्छा, अच्छा, हाँ, हाँ, अच्छा, क्या सर? अच्छा, हाँ, हाँ. क्या कहते हैं, डाउट्स डाउट्स घ्यायचे की कसं काय काय? डाउट्स घ्यायचे आहेत ना त्याचे? डाउट्स घ्यायचे आहेत की फक्त ते ऑब्जेक्टिव्ह रेग्युलर लाभ आहे. मटेरियलचं सायन्स रिलेटेड. So when you are fixing up a bearing, the inner race, that is this inner race, that is this, is tight, is fitted tightly on the shaft. Inner race is fitted tightly on the shaft, and the outer race is fitted tightly in the housings. So, and in between there are balls. So what happens now? The inner race will rotate with the shaft because it is tightly fitted on the shaft, and outer race is stationary with the housing. Housing is not free to rotate, and in between you have balls, isn't it? So now the horse taken by the balls, whatever load, that is radial and axial loads. So in this way, there is no direct contact housing. There is no direct contact of shaft and housing, so that neither shaft nor housing will worn out. Only now what is going to worn out is these balls because of the continuous motion. But all the bearings, ball bearings, generally we get hours, a huge hours, 1 lakh hours or 1 million rotations in the shaft. And so we get reasonably 6 months or 1 year lives, which is sufficient. So this is how your bearings are fitted. Remember to think that inner race should be tightly fitted on the shaft and outer race should be tightly fitted in the housing. There should not be any relative motion between the shaft and the inner race, and there should not be any relative motion between this outer race and the housing. There should not be any relative motion. Otherwise, your shaft or housing will get damaged because these bearings are harder than ground. So if there is any relative motion between this inner race and shaft, this inner race is going to eat the shaft. It's going to uh, will make your shaft to wear out. So the selection of fits and tolerances will depends upon what are the conditions of rotation. That will include how much is the rotating load, how much is the stationary load, and what is the direction of the load. That is in positive x direction, in negative x direction, or in positive y, that is called as the radial x direction, that is called as the transverse load, or whether it is the, in both the directions. So that you will have to consider the effective load. Hmm. Then what is the magnitude of the load? Whether it is light load, or whether it is normal load, or whether it is heavy load, or whether it is very heavy load. So that load has to be decided. And of course, any design uh, will have this load criteria. Then what is the internal clearance? Bearing internal clearance. That is how is the fit. And normally most of the bearings are tightly fitted. uh, Tightly fitted means you have to just hammer little bit. uh, Hammer little bit. It should not go easily, and it should not be removed easily. So you have a special kind of fixtures for tightening or for installing the bearings, as well as you have some special type of fixtures which are called as the bearing puller to remove the bearings, from the shaft when you are assembly. You need to consider the temperature differences also, because if there is a rise in temperature, hmm, then the bearings will become loose and it may come out. Hmm. So that temperature differences you have to consider when you are selecting the fits in such a way that even if the rise in temperature is more, is high, the bearing should not be loosened. Bearing should not become loose. Hmm. Accordingly, you have to select the fit and the tolerances. Then obviously the material of the shaft and the housing. Hmm. And you have to see that the bearings can be mounted easily and can be dismantled easily. So these are the guidelines, when you are selecting the fits and tolerances. So this is what the selection of fits is, that is tight fit or loose fit. So when to go for tight fit or loose fit? So what do you mean by tight fit and loose fit? It means inner ring or inner race. Inner ring or inner race is tightly fitted on the shaft, and then outer ring is slightly loose fit in the housing. See, now this is what is your shaft is, this, and I'll zoom it, further zoom it. So this is what is your shaft is. In between, now this is a bearing and this is what is your housing is. So this outer race is tightly fitted in the housing, and this inner race is tightly fitted on the shaft. So as the shaft rotates, the entire load comes on this balls. Entire load comes on this balls. So, so what are the fits that you can have? Tight fit or loose fit? Tight fit or loose fit means the shaft, that is the inner ring is tight and outer ring is loose. Loose means that doesn't mean that it will move. It will move. Loose means it is easy to assemble, and whereas tight fit means you have to hammer it. Then you have standards for radial bearing fits, uh, that is class 0, class 1, class 2, class 3, up to 6. So depending upon the accuracy, these fits are classified. Like light load, fluctuating load, ordinary load, heavy load, or impact load. Hmm. Impact load means in presses, in press, that is mechanical press or say forging press or hydraulic press. The load is impact. That is impact. This is just for your information. I mean, this, you know that it is not there in the examination. So how to calculate, the dimensions, or how to calculate the tolerances? This table is not that clear, but this has been taken from PSG design data book. So wherein you can get like now M6 fits. So M6 means you will understand that this is shaft. Okay, and M stands for the interference fit. So immediately you will come to know that shaft size will be, maximum shaft size will be larger than the maximum hole size. So once you open the PhD design data book, then you can understand this. It is self-explanatory. And then finally you can get the dimensions like this shaft diameter. Then for M6 feet, it will, since it is interference, obviously it will be on the plus side. So upper deviation is 30 microns and lower deviation is 79. That means if the basic size is 70, what will be the shaft size? It will be 70.011 to 70.03. And as I told yesterday that PSG design data book, it's better that you should have. I don't know the current price, but it should be around 400 rupees. Because what I had purchased, I don't know what, but I have my own copy. That is when I was doing engineering, so 25 years back. That time it was some 225 rupees. Alright, so now we'll go back to our programming. I also wanted to show you some videos also of the CNC machines. So once we complete this APT program, I'll show some videos which before we practice some CNC programming examples. So we were discussing APT. APT is nothing but automatically programmed tools. So what I was telling that you have some machine tools and you have some controls. Like say your machine tools is Lakshmi Machine Works or Bartley Boy or HMT, and then you have controls like say Fanuc OM, Fanuc 6M, Fanuc 60, Siemens 850D, different series of Siemens control, different series of Fanuc controls, then different series of Fagor, different series of Dekel series. So various controls. So now what happens now is there are only few codes which are common in these controls. Few codes like G90, G91. So G90 means ISO in all the controls. You name any control, G90 means it will be absolute programming. G91 it will be incremental programming in all the controls. So like that only few codes are standard and common in all the controls because they follow the ISO nomenclature, ISO architecture. And many codes differ. Like I told, see end of block. End of block in Fanuc it is shown by dot, and in Siemens it is shown by star, star symbol, asterisk. Like in G73, hmm, G73 is a pocket milling operation in Fanuc, but G73 is your drilling cycle in case of Siemens, whereas in case of Fanuc, the drilling cycle is G81, G82, and G83. Whereas in Siemens, uh, there are different codes for the drilling. So this is what I was telling that there are different codes in different controls for the same operations. But APT file is same as I showed also in practicals that whenever you are doing simulations, toolpath simulation, there is at the down you must have noticed that verify toolpath करके option था verify toolpath, and just next to that there was a option called as a list. So whenever you used to click at list, you will get that APT program which is generated immediately. APT program. So APT program consists of statements like go to, from, up, down, line, circle, like that. APT program will consist of the statements. What I'm trying to tell you that APT is common. It's a common. It's a this APT program will be same irrespective of any controls. APT program will be same irrespective of any control. It remains same for all controls. And then once the APT program is generated, then you have to select the post processor. Post processor post martem जैसे कि After that, we do some operations. So post processor means you have done all the processing, machining operations, and now you have to generate the G codes and M codes for a particular control. So you have to go to the post processor, then you have to select the control. There will be a library of the controls, and you have to click at the control which you desire, and you get a particular NC program. NC program is nothing but G codes and M codes. NC program is also called as the .nc file. .nc file. So the G codes and M codes varies as per the control, whereas your APT file remains the same. APT file remains the same irrespective of control. So and it is generated moment the model is done. Model moment you have selected the toolings and operation etc. APT file will be generated. Basically, APT file consists of statements, series of statements. And what are the characteristics of APT? This that are contained in XYZ coordinate system, that is three-dimensional. Hmm. Then linear interpolation is used for curved toolpath, that is G01, G02, G03. So few characteristics, but mainly the APT consists of different statements. Basically, four types statements. Here it is written five, but basically it is four. Identification is not called as a APT statement. Hmm. So you can cancel this identification. Here this how this because the identification is considered. So this is not a APT statement. So the four statements are geometry statement, that is first, then motion statement, that is second, then post processor statement, that is third, and then fourth is your auxiliary statement. Fourth is your auxiliary statement. In geometry statements, you have to define the geometry of the component, that is drawing. You have to define, and you know any component or any drawing is made out of points, lines, and circles. Points, lines, and circles or arcs. So with these points, lines, and arcs, you can make any or the basic entity is point. Basic entity is point. Forget about lines and arc because the line is also made out of a point. Arc is or circle is also made out of point, isn't it? So any drawing can be considered as made out of number of points. Number of points, and every point will have three dimensions x, y, and z. But since you cannot go on defining the number of points because then it will become a huge file. So that's why we define few points and we define number of lines and we define number of arcs. So that reduces your program. So in geometry you are describing your points, your lines, and your arcs. Then another statement, second statement is your motion statement. So in motion, you are describing how the tool should move. So it consists of commands like from, to, go to, rapid, CL data, hmm, means in feed, means it conforms to G01, rapid means G00. So those forward, backward. So these are your motion statements. The questions which can be asked here that they will give in the examination, the drawing will be given and you will be asked to write a APT program. Hmm. If you are lucky, then the questions can be described. That is for the 10 marks. Describe various geometry, motion, post processor, and auxiliary statements with exam. 10 marks. So you have to describe these statements, of course, with the example. Because students sometimes find the APT programming bit difficult. Instead of that, this definition of statements is easier. So next is third is your post processor statement. So post processor statement consists of your feed, your speed, and your coolant, and some more things like that is feed you can give in millimeter per minute, speeds in rpm, then coolant on, coolant off. So these are your post processor. Hmm. And then auxiliary statements are nothing but like program stop or optional stop or reset and rewinds, tool change. Basically consist of majority of m codes what we saw. Remember here we are not using any G code or M code. Huh? Remember, don't mix up. G codes and M codes are called as the .nc file. Hmm? And this is your .apt file. Hmm? It is also called as .clsf, cutter location source file. Sometimes in the examination it may ask write a CLSF program for the following component. So it is nothing but APT program. C.clsf means cutter, C for cutter, location, source file, cutter location source file. So now let us study these statements one by one. Hmm. So first is motion statements. So now in motion statements, what are the different statements or what are the different commands? That is what we'll see. See, first in APT, we are studying now motion statements and what are the different commands in motion statements. So first is points. You have to follow a particular syntax in APT. So now here it is PTA, that means point A. You can write it as point 1 or you can simply write as P1 also. That much flexibility is there. So you, for simplicity we will say P1 is equal to point. What is P1 is point, and what are its coordinates? In x direction 3, y direction में 4 and in z direction में 5. So obviously before you write APT program, you should have defined your program 0 point, that is where is your x0, y0 and z0. Now in this case there is my program 0 point, that is this is my x0 and y0, and z0 is obviously by default most of the times 99% time it is on the surface of the workpiece, surface of the workpiece. So on the top of the workpiece it is at a height of 5, and from this point it is at a distance of 3 and 4, and these dimensions are in inches. So this is 3 inch and this is 4 inch. PTA, that is point A, can be written as P1 also. Now how do you represent points? How do you represent points? So there are different ways. See, we are studying motion statements. In motion statement, sorry, we are studying geometry statements. My apology. First is your geometry statement. We are studying geometry statements. In geometry statements, first we are describing the point. I'm extremely sorry if I have stated motion statement. See, there are four types of statements. One is geometry. First is geometry. Without describing geometry, you cannot go ahead. Then second is motion statement. Motion means go to, rapid, feed, etc. Then third is post processor. That is coolant on, coolant off. And fourth is auxiliary statement. What we are studying is geometry statements. And in geometry statements, what are the different statements? That is first is point. And as I said, any product is made up of point, but you cannot go on describing the points because the program will become huge. So that's why in geometry statement you have to make use of point, line, arc, circle, plane, etc. So that your programming length becomes smaller. So now what are the different ways of describing point? The earlier slide I showed you point can be seen the easiest way, that is x, y and z. That is the simplest way, and safe. There cannot be any mistake in that. Now here is the second way how we can describe point B. So this is a point B. Hmm. So point B is a point such that this line is there is an oblique, so you must use that oblique sign. So point B is equal to, it is a point such that intersection of line 1 and line 2, intersection of line 1 and line 2. But remember, before you use this syntax, you need to define line 1 and line 2 in your geometry statement. Otherwise, it will give error. It will ask where is line 1, where is line 2. So, if you are using this syntax or if you are using this type, then you need to define line 1 and line 2 first. Then only you can write. And now there is no spelling mistake. You need to write like this only. Intersection के लिए int, line के लिए lin. Then another way of describing point. So now this is point C. This is point D. Okay. So points D, it is a point. Point D, it is a point such that hmm, Y point is small intersection of line 3 with the circle C1. So this is the circle C1. Okay. Then this is the line 3. Okay. So now this line will intersect this circle in 2 points. So when I am talking about this point D, the system or the control will calculate these 2 points, out of which I am defining y coordinate which is smaller. Say y coordinate for this point, let us say it is 5, and y coordinate for this point, let us say it is 8. So out of this we take. So I have defined y small. Similarly, x coordinate will be x small because इसका x coordinate बड़ा है. Okay, and same for the point C. Now point C it will be what? Y large, x also large. I hope this is clear. Now before you describe the point C and point D by this method, you should have defined line 3 and you should have defined C1 इसके पहले, not after this. Hmm? You should have defined line and you should have defined circle before this. Otherwise, it will give the error. It will, because moment it reads point D, that is a point, it is the intersection of line 3 and C1. It will ask line 3 not defined. It will give an error. Circle C1 not defined. So that rule you have to follow. Same here also, point E. So that's why, see, we don't adopt this method. Why? Because when you are going for this method, isn't it? We have to see that we are defining this C1, C2 and line earlier. Hmm. So that itself is a big task. So generally for defining points, we follow the simplest method, that is defining the points by giving the coordinates. That is the simplest and safest way. X, Y, Z. There cannot be mistake. यहाँ पे large, small, C1, C2 इसमें कुछ भी problem हो गया तो some other points will get defined. Hmm? Now here, this. See, as I said, you can give A, B, C, D, or you can give 1, 2, 3 also. So now this is a point 7. What is a point 7? That it is a center of C6. C6 is nothing but a circle. But again, before you define this point 7, you should have defined the circle. Otherwise, it will give an error. Same way, this is point 11 such that it is at an angle of 27 degree and at a radius of, so this is nothing but your polar coordinate. This is nothing but your polar coordinate. which you are familiar. There are two ways, that is, there are three ways actually: Cartesian, polar, and exponential system of representation. So here it is polar hmm, representation. So polar may you are giving with the radius and with an angle. You have radius and this is an angle. Hmm. Then you can describe the various points by pattern, by pattern method. Hmm. By pattern method, if they are equispace, if they are equispace. Like now here totally there are 6 points and 5 points are repeated. 5 points are repeated. Then you can use this. Hmm. Again, there are various types of patterns. You can also use copy command. You can also use copy command, that is copy pattern 1 on pattern 2. See, this is what you have defined pattern 1. This is what you have defined pattern 2. Okay, now you can say another pattern, that is say pattern 7. So how it is defined, that copy pattern 1, that is this, on pattern 2. So this is useful when there are number of holes, on a product, number of holes on the product. We will try to we should know this, but we will not learn this because like this question will not be asked in the examination. So it will be simply based on by xyz, point by xyz coordinates. That is just sufficient. Hmm. Again, this is a pattern command. This is again a pattern command. There are the various ways. I'm showing you various ways of defining points. Now, once you have defined the points, we have seen various methods. Then, out of which only we will remember that points is defined by x, y, z coordinates. That's all. We will not remember any other line, any other command. Now, next is how to define the line in case of geometry statements. Now, what we are studying is geometry statements. So, in that we saw point. Now we are studying lines. So, lines in a simple way, line is defined as LIN1. There is no spelling mistake. Or you can write L1, L1 like the specified point. So line 1 is nothing but it is a line such that passing through P1 comma P2. So this is the syntax. This syntax you have to follow. Line such that it is passing through points P1 and P2. And obviously you have defined points P1 and P2 earlier. Otherwise it will be the syntax error. Where is point P1 and P2? Understand? So that's why now you must have noticed that earlier हम लोग जो देते थे कि point intersection of line L1 and L2. It will ask define line. Now for defining line again we need point, isn't it? So that's why I was telling that don't remember those commands. So simply remember point that is denoted by x and y and z coordinates. So here now this is a line passing through point P1 and P2. Alright, line 1, and ensure that P1 and P2 have been defined beforehand. Have been defined beforehand. This is now line 4. Now here how it is defined, they glow. Line 4, it is a line which is passing through this point 6 and it is passing through this point. So there are two ways. Either you define this separately before, that is point 6, and you can say point 7 is equal to 15 minus 30 and 3, which is much more better. Or you can mention the coordinates of that point here, as well as you can mention the coordinate of that point here also. Point 6 ka bhi coordinates you can give it here, so that you don't have to define this point earlier. Okay, so you save that one or two lines, point 6 or point 7 ka, that points you are directly writing here. I hope you are getting it. like this. Now this is line 10. So this is defined by, now instead of giving P1 and P2, the coordinates of that points are mentioned. Hmm. And you need to follow some rules. That is, APT will consider this as X, Y and Z, and this as X, Y and Z. So by mistake, suppose आपने 3.5 यहाँ पे लिख दिया, 20 यहाँ पे लिखा. So in your mind X is 20, but if you just exchange, X will become 3.5 and Y will be 20. So this point will no longer be here, but it will be somewhere here. I mean here, ऐसा X 3.5 and Y 20. So instead of here, this point will be here, and the line will, you will be surprised. अरे, I'm expecting this line, but the line has come because if you swap this, X will be 3.5, that is from here, and Y will be 20. So point will be somewhere here. So the simple way of describing or defining a line is line passing through points P1, P2, and define P1 and P2 beforehand in the beginning. It's clear? Next. Now there are few more ways of describing the lines. But the most safest way is that line say P1 and P2. And line 12, where is your line 12? Line 12, it is this. This is a line, okay? So line 12, it is a line passing through point 4. Now there will be infinite number of lines passing through point 4. But no, we want at an angle of 20. So this is a 20 degree. So now this line is completely constrained. Line 40, that is this, passing through point 1. There will be infinite number of lines. But the moment you say at angle 40, it will be this 40. Then we have line 15. That is, so it is passing through point, that is this point. Now here the coordinates are given and at angle of minus 15. Now minus 15 in our angle measurement system, we measure positive in this sense, that is counterclockwise sense with respect to x-axis. Negative means it will be in clockwise direction with respect to the x-axis, and so on. Similarly, line 16, that's passing to the point 3 and at an angle of 40, and here it is written y-axis. So either you write y-axis or you simply say 130, that is 1 plus 40, 130. Then another way of defining the line. So it is passing through point, whatever it is, point P1, P2, etc. Then you can give the slope here, slope numerical value. Hmm. Okay, because there will be infinite number of lines passing through the point. So you just give the slope of this line. The line will be drawn. It will be constrained. Of course, we don't define like this, but the various ways of representing the lines has been shown here. Hmm. Again, line passing to point P1 at an angle of 30 with line 1. See now here, this 30 degree is not with respect to x-axis, it is with respect to line 1. So that's why it is written like this 30 degree. Okay, we'll continue tomorrow because it's 10 o'clock and you might have to attend another lecture. So if you have doubt, you please ask, otherwise you can leave. ये फ्रेम मधला नाही